All right, and we are live. Happy Labor Day, everybody. September 4th. Christmas is on its way. And maybe some other things are on their way too. Take it away, K-Pro. I'll be back.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Mike just got here. Hold on, I got to click some things. Carry the 4, bring things down. Okay. So thank you, Mike, for being here. And you guys know that we have some serious news because Mike only gets here on Monday nights for Forrest Fenn. When we have breaking news, it's not breaking. We do have some cool stuff to go over. Those of you that do not know, the little lady, Cynthia Meacham, has had a busy week. So she got an interview with Dale Neitzel and up on some island in Washington, and she hosted it all over this week. And we now are going to be able to go over some little highlights. So Mike does not know which I will be asking him to bring up. So we're there's 3 parts. It's on Cynthia's YouTube page. So we are going to go over part 1, part 2, part 3. There's 2 or 3 clips on each one I want to get that are kind of highlights to me, interesting. And yes, this is just Dale's opinion, but I do, if you knew about the chase at all, you know that Dale's just not the average searcher. So Dale said some stuff that really made me go, what? 1 or 2 things especially, which we'll talk about. So that is where we will start. And then there has been some questions about some things, especially on Discord. And so there's some clarifying words from Shiloh that I was given, of course, third hand, because you have to pass notes in study hall and getting them, but it kind of shows from a communication standpoint, what a disaster we are in. But hopefully it will clarify. I will be showing that. And then that's all we will have fit to print for today. I will tell you the reason that Dale said, what? Exactly, Robert G. Today, 5 years ago, I met Mike for the first time in Forrest Fenn's deck. He remembers it differently than I remember it, but this was right before the Jamie Jordan drawing. He wasn't even supposed to be coming. I told him he has to go. My plane got delayed, so then he was in Forrest den before me, and then I zoomed in there and we took care of business and had a great time. But today, happy 5-year anniversary for the first time we ever met.
5 years, yeah, 5 years ago today, and now here we are, still talking about the chase, everybody.
We will forever.
Yeah, it'll never end.
So I need to make sure that you have audio set up because we're going to be playing a YouTube audio. I know sometimes
I can do that.
Which browser and all that. Okay, so if you, Mike, can go to Cynthia Meacham's number 2, part 2 video, part 2. We're going to start with 2, go to 3, back to 1, because 1 revolves around what I got Shiloh text. So
part 2, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah. So part 2 is where we're going to start. Then we're going to go to part 3. Then we're going to go to part 1.
Are we playing the whole thing?
No, I have particular points that I would like.
Give it to him.
Okay, here we go. So go to part 2 and go to 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's right around when he starts talking. No, not in Discord. I have them. It was from a discussion in Discord that they came about. That's to Ashley. Oh,
are you ready?
The chat went away, so I will re-chat after. Yes.
Do we have permission to play this?
We do. We have written permission.
Much dead on.
I do remember after the chest was found, there was correspondence for a while between Forrest and whoever the finder was, and the superintendent of Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park the superintendent at any rate did not want the location disclosed. She was fairly adamant about that. Forrest shared some of these emails with me. And
Is that Sarah Davis at the time?
I can't remember.
I mean, she was head of the park rangers in Yellowstone. I don't know. I don't think she was actually the superintendent.
I can't
But-
remember, but I think it was this conversation that I'm talking about was between him and him and the superintendent. I know that later on the chief ranger did get involved, but I think initially it went higher. I think it got turned over to everything rolls downhill, and I think eventually got shifted to the chief ranger, who would have been the most logical person to be concerned about things like
Okay, you can stop it, Mike.
in that area. I mean, that area is
Okay,
There is-
he starts going into like why national park and all that. But first of all, I thought that was pretty huge. Okay, what stood out to you?
Well, that Forrest shared these emails with Dale about the correspondence between him and the superintendent or park ranger. I think he said superintendent of the park. So.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So of
So-
course, the next question is, will he share the emails? Cynthia asked, he said no. But here's what I find interesting. He didn't say Forrest and the national park. He said Forrest, the finder, and the national park.
That's the Zoom. I mean, we know that they Zoom together, right? That came out.
Right, but at that time, he got it, he had to get it obviously before September when Forrest died. So he had the finder's identity before all of us, if Jack is on it, right?
Unless Forrest redacted it, which who knows? I doubt though. I doubt if he did. I mean, I think Forrest trusted Dale with everything. I mean,
Right.
he trusted him with everything during the chase, as far as the scrapbooks and all that stuff. So yeah, Dale knew the general location of the treasure chest way back before anybody else did. So that's just how it works. That's what Forrest decided to do, and that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did. And so there you go. I don't know. Were these same communications found in the FOIA? I don't think he's compared them. I don't think he has given them to anybody. I don't think he's looked at them.
I don't think he cares.
I don't think he cares. I think he cares, but just not enough to dig through archives and all of that. But wow. Yep, uber curious. We're uber curious now.
Hale Gibson says Yellowstone National Park doesn't seem to mind that geocaching happens there. Yeah, I would agree with that, because I don't think anybody's died looking for a geocache, and I don't think anybody's broken into somebody's house or committed illegal acts looking for a geocache. Just my opinion.
Oh yeah, and Billy Shaw says, I don't remember seeing Jack on any of the emails with the National Park Service, but that's what Dale said. Now, did he misspeak? Did he just say it off the cuff?
What?
Did he?
What was his exact words? I don't have
He
to.
said, I had emails with the, well, replay it. It's right at the 120,
Okay.
120, because it is right there and then. Are they on the terabyte? They are not. Darn it, they are not.
Or are they? No.
after the chest was found, there was correspondence for a while between Forrest and whoever the finder was.
Yeah, see, he says whoever the finder was. So in other words, if he saw that email, the Jack's email that he gave out, that doesn't mean he knows who Jack is.
Oh, come on. So if you got let's say,
Right.
Forrest is communicating with Yellowstone National Park and Cowlazars at gmail.com, the finder, and you wouldn't go, oh, or like jackstooth at gmail.com. You wouldn't.
No, I'm talking about the email that Jack gave out to all the searchers. Jack 128974.
That wasn't out yet. He didn't do
Well,
that.
but it could have been back then. Like maybe that's the email he used. What I'm
Okay.
saying is you don't know that he knew it was Jack. It could have been an email.
I like my conspiracy theory.
I'm just saying, I don't think it was Jack Stoof at Outlook at AOL.com. Anyway,
It's jackstooth at gmail.com is what he used. Okay.
how do you
Anyway,
know? How do you know that?
because people have done court. How much did we pay for
Oh,
copies?
that was the email. Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Then maybe it was. I mean, and Dale isn't going to do anything with that back then. I mean, that'd be interesting that, Dale knew who it was, but
Okay.
that's why Forrest sends him the emails. He knows Dale isn't going to try and do anything with it.
Okay, but
Opinion.
huge. This is pretty big that a searcher has the correspondence between Yellowstone and Forrest, at least, let alone and this mythical, magical finder. Okay, let's go to the same video. Go to 2020. 20-minute mark, 20 seconds.
2020. All right, here we go.
To talk about before Forrest passed away. I was lucky enough, he invited, I was still living. Yes, thank you. I was still, it doesn't matter where I was living. Forrest invited me to his home August 28th, 2020. And I was there. It was during COVID. It was set up. So he had 2 chairs, 2 lawn chairs set up about like 6 feet apart, whatever the distance
Isn't this like a week before he passed? August 28th?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
was. I had to wear, we both had a mask on when I arrived. And then when we got to our chairs, we could take the masks off. And he and I had just one of the most awesome 2-hour visits I ever had with him. Do you want to talk, or is it too hard to talk about the last time you had any kind of contact with him, whether it was emails, whatever? So the chest was, Forrest announced the chest was found June 6th, I believe. And then eventually he passed away on September 7th. So did you have a lot of contact with him in those months in between?
Blank.
Uh-oh.
Honestly, I can't remember.
You know, if you say you don't recall, that means you really do remember, but you're not going to say.
It's not that,
Remember, doesn't-
honestly, you know, anything about me and memory is always a giant, you know, question mark. I'm sure I've already repeated things that I've said before in a different way. You know, I'm like, no different than Forrest. If I tell a story, I'm going to tell it different each time. I have the memory of a metal sieve. So, and I honestly, you said, boy, you said something there that made me think. What was the last conversation I had with Forrest, or what were the last exchange of emails? I don't remember.
Do you want me to tell you your conversations with Forrest? My God, I'll tell you what, between Christy and me, I swear we can quote everybody in the chase, especially during that time
Yeah,
period.
well, help me
But,
out here.
I believe that you told me that, I assume that it was in the email. I don't recall that, Forrest had told you that he would, I don't remember, I'm paraphrasing the
that.
ending, that he would tell you the ending or whatever, eventually someday, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember exactly. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. So that was right after the chest was found and the pictures were released. And again, I wasn't trying to hound Forrest. I figured he was pretty busy fending off thousands of searchers who were asking him questions. But first of all, he asked me if I was mad at him. And I said, no, of course not. I'm not mad. This was in an email. He asked me if I was mad at him. And I didn't know what that meant. I mean, I wasn't sure. I had an idea what that meant. But I didn't know then, and to this day, I don't know for sure, but I speculated to myself that he was referring to the fact that earlier you had talked about ending the chase. And it looked like to me that he had ended it, that he had found someone to give enough information to that they could go get the chest and end the chase. And he was asking me, and because I had told him, no, I didn't think that was a good idea to end the case. And so I was thinking, now he was asking me if I was mad at him for ending the chase. And then the other thing that when I replied to him, I said, well, will I ever know exactly what went on or how this all came out? And he said, I will tell you, but I can't do it right now. Something to that effect. Wasn't his exact words. I can't recall his exact words, but it was something short like that. Yeah, he said, yeah, you will find out, but now's not the right time.
Do
Okay,
you have any idea if he was referring to the,
Mike.
I believe there was a lawsuit
What?
ongoing. right
Stop.
now. So do you,
What's that?
you can stop it now?
Well, then say stop it. Okay.
I did twice.
Then I didn't hear you. It's loud. Alright.
Okay, so, so this one at first thought, I was like, man, call it off, yes, and you gotta love, I think it was Bavetta or Rudy, I'm not sure which one. Dale put up a website after he took down daleneitzel.com, and a few of these emails were on it, I guess. and I'm almost sure it was Ryan, said that was an actual exchange, because on its face, that means what else would he be mad about? And that's when he came out, Forrest came out and said that it was up to the finder, the who and the where, and he wasn't going to be putting anything out related to the solution. And then right after that, he said, are you mad at me about that? And so this one was a something burger on my list and then became a nothing burger quickly. But that, the one thing that, have you been in the courtyard at the Forrest Fenn Gallery? Yes, several times. The one thing that I will say is, if you got an email, just like we got that interview scheduled and then Forrest passes away, Dale was going to get all the answers. He just didn't, the timing just was very unfortunate. So, okay, any comments on that one, Mike?
No.
Okay, go to 2617.
He wanted me to know, and I think he trusted me. I don't think it was a matter of he felt I'd go blabbing stuff around that just because I had information. I don't think he thought of me that way. I mean,
He knew better than to tell me, because I would have a conversation with Cynthia, video out there on YouTube within the next 24 hours. So,
well, I kept things, unless Forrest specifically told me not to do things, I mean, and we would have
2617?
conversations all the time. When he wrote his script.
Say it again.
Is this 2617?
Of part 2, yes.
Okay. I had that they were talking about Yellowstone. Okay, let's just see if it goes into another one. Don't rewind.
it.
Yeah, keep.
He would ask me to edit them, he would say,
Why don't you jump to
read this.
33?
20, what, 33?
33 at
Oh,
exactly.
33 even? Okay.
Yes. Towards the very end.
on the stick with the GPS, sent it to Carl. I actually sent it, I think it was to Tom, Nashko, Carl, Jack. And then I said, please tell Sarah Davis, we found the spot, blah, blah, blah. Can Jack please confirm? And this supposedly did go to Yellowstone, and supposedly their take on this is, we don't give a shit what you searchers think. It's that Jack nor Forrest can say. They're the two people that cannot say that was the spot. They didn't care. Yeah, exactly. And so that's
everything else is just speculation, as we used to say on the blog.
yeah, right. Unless that video comes out someday. So, but it's not out yet. So
But that
we
was
just have to
before
wait.
the talk.
Yeah, but he's dead now. So, that was my other question. So because Forrest,
Yes,
you
I
said
do
shared
believe Forrest died.
yeah. So do you,
Oh,
so
is that
because
a
the
real question?
arrangement was between Forrest and Yellowstone.
Oh, that was
now that
edited.
he has passed,
What the heck?
can the estate put it out because they're not Forrest?
I don't know. I'm not an attorney and I have no idea what was worked out.
Yeah. What's your humble opinion?
In my humble opinion, the family wouldn't want to.
Okay. That's fair. And I guess, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Don't know.
Yeah, okay, that one's done.
So Cynthia has 2 cameras going at the same time at 2 angles. Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
it's Dale, so the one with the microphone, you can tell it's super professional because it has like the noise guards and all of that. And that's whenever, so when she's talking, the one angle and the other one is off her phone. So it's set up and everything with a nice angle, but that's where you hear all the background noise and all of that. But so when she's talking, you can see her and then it switches so you can see them. Okay, bring up the third one. We only have 3 more to go, Mike. Bring up part 3.
Okay. Yep.
19-second mark.
19 seconds mark.
Yes.
Got 6.
The thing that was being talked about on the blogs yesterday was the second poem. So do you remember in the September 2019 interview or October 2019 interview where Forrest was saying how he hopes the finder will be anonymous? It's much easier for Forrest if he doesn't know the name. And several times he said, just shut up. I want the finder, just shut up. Then there was a brief edit in there. And then he went into talking about the second poem. Okay, so I know you and I talked about there maybe being a second poem. We don't really know, but maybe. So what they talked
Forrest said there was.
yeah, Forrest is saying that there was. Okay,
Mhm.
so last night, do you remember when Jack came out with his identity and then he wrote the 2 Medium articles? Well, the first Medium article, he was only the finder. Then in December, he came out as Jack Stu. Do you remember him writing this quadplet in the Medium article that says, cold refreshing waters babble of your life, whistling pines proffer your wisdoms to sup. In your place, the mountains rumble your name. Can I even try to shut them up? Is there a possibility that the second poem is this? And either Jack found it and put this in the Medium article, or we don't know. That shut up. It's like this was just Gallatin Ghost, and I think another guy by the name of Nomad Man talked about this last night, and it's like, holy cow. And then the other thing that this is so interesting is the fact that it's a quadplet, and Jack in the questions and answers right after he revealed his identity that he shared with us searchers, one time he said something about there is a connection to Eric Sloan. The only time Forrest, I think, talked about a quadplet was when he used the double omegas in $17 a square inch at the very end when Forrest wrote that quadplet to Eric Sloan. Thoughts?
I have no thoughts except to say that I really don't think that poem was written by Forrest.
Okay, you can turn
Whatever
this one
that,
off.
what,
And there it is.
Okay, so, and, he actually apologizes and said, sorry, I just don't think this is it. And it's like, no, we need to have, exactly, Miriam, wasn't the second poem supposed to be obvious that Fenn wrote it? And he's saying this wouldn't have been obvious to me. Now, if he would have asked him for a poem and he gave him that right away, but I think the interesting part is, because there was shut up and shut up. That can't be a coincidence, can it? Forrest saying just shut up and then.
Yeah, it really can. It really can.
Yes, it can. Okay.
The only way, in my opinion, the only way we would know for sure, Dale would know for sure it came from Forrest, is there something in that poem that only Forrest would know. But other people would realize or could verify that Forrest knew, like the location of a bar or a bell or jar or something that, you know what I mean? It would be like, oh yeah, that has to be from Forrest and it's verifiable somehow.
Yeah, well, but except for it also could be there is a poem, a quadplet in the back of $17 a square inch with the double omegas that Forrest wrote to. What if that was the poem? We would know that it's Forrest because it's in the back of $17 a square inch. I don't know.
I guess. I mean, I guess. And
I know this went to a nothing burger.
To me, all the second hand guessing and opinion doesn't matter. What matters is where is the second poem. So either the family has it, or Jack has it, or Justin has it, or John Collins Black has it. Whoever has it needs to come forward with it. That's all that matters.
And they won't. You can't make them.
Correct. So
Justin needs mystery in his life. John Collins Black needs to wait on Jens for 2064.
I get it.
Yeah,
yeah, I get it. I agree with you. We just need to wait. See.
Okay. Go to 5-minute mark. Something about the ending is here.
5 minutes even?
5 minutes even. I hope it's 5 minutes even. I think my notes are a little long. Sorry.
Whether it's Jack, I mean, do you just want to make any statements or thoughts about the ending?
No, I don't have anything to say. I everybody knows what I believe. I mean, I think even though I'm not participating in anything, I think that the only reason Jack found it was because Forrest led him to it.
Yeah.
If Jack found it.
That makes sense.
If Jack is the finder, I don't care who the finder is. It was found because Forrest led it to them. Led that person to it. Gave them some information which made it possible for them to to go to the plate.
Okay, you can turn this one off.
Let's,
Yeah, and there it is. I
Yeah,
think-
the good part is, this was even being discussed earlier in the day. Well, it was Rudy Green that said, Dale doesn't believe that anymore. That this was years ago. He called Jack the jerk and all that. And it's like, well, no, you'll see a little video coming later that day. So if anybody wonders what, and again, Dale's just another person, but that's what he believes. With all of his contacts, all of the stuff he has, he believes not only did Jack get a nudge, Jack got a nudge from Forrest.
In Dale's opinion, but it
In
just makes
Dale's opinion.
sense that that's how it went down. It's because you have Forrest telling Dale, "Hey, I'm thinking of pulling it," and then
Yeah.
magically 6 months later, oh, somebody found it. You know, that's not a coincidence. It's been out there 10 years and nobody can find it. Right when right when Forrest says, "I think I got to pull it," it magically gets found. It's too much. You asked me a couple shows ago what if I thought it was 50-50. I'm more like 90-10. I mean, and he may have picked Jack because Jack thought it was at 9 Mile Hole, but just couldn't find it. So he just said, "Hey, Jack, do this, go from Fenn Rock, go straight back in," or whatever it is he told him. You metal detect it, do whatever. But I think he gave Jack the confirmation that it's there. You need to go find it. So
Yeah, yeah. And for me, this is my opinion, when someone like Dale says, and someone like Mike, but especially someone like Dale with all of that he has, that he says, I think Forrest gave Jack a nudge or helped him, that does have a little bit more weight than just an average person.
And
Yeah.
hindsight's 2020, but I hate to say this, but after it was found, all the problems that Forrest Fenn's family's gone through with lawsuits and everything, if he just would have passed away and it not been found, it would have turned into a treasure legend. Nobody ever would have found it because the blaze was broken. I think that almost would have been a better outcome. Years and years would have went by and it just would have, people, diehards would keep looking for it. Other people would just
Right.
say it was never out there to begin with. I
Right.
think it would have just faded away.
Okay. So Rudy Green put, Shiloh says, the finder, to my knowledge, had no nudge. Shiloh, entire conspiracy theory is now debunked. I agree that Shiloh doesn't know. So there was a discussion where Shiloh was kind of playing coy between him and Cynthia and said, I know everything, and kind of doing his posture up. And she said, well, did you know that Jack found the treasure chest with the metal detector? And he goes, no, I didn't know that. So there's an example that I believe the statement is true, Rudy, that Shiloh says. The finder, to his knowledge, had no nudge. And he believes the entire conspiracy theory is now debunked. I believe he believes that, but this is more reason why we would have never known about a metal detector if he would have said no. Everybody has data, information. I think Shiloh has more information than most, but he does not have all the information. So
I bet Shiloh never knew that Forrest and Dale emailed each other about, I need to pull it, back in December, until it came out in the court case. You know what I mean? I don't think Forrest told Shiloh a lot of this stuff. Even after it was found, if Forrest nudged Jack, I don't think he's telling his family, yeah, I ended it for you. I told this guy where I was. Forrest's going to keep that to himself. Forrest never would have wanted that out, right? So I wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
He'll make a video on where it was for legal protection, but I don't think he would ever tell anybody that, I nudged somebody to find it.
Yeah, I don't think, Okay, so let's go to 8 minutes and 10 seconds. This is the last one here, and then we have 2 to play on part 1, and then we
That
are
8:10?
done. 8:10, yes.
the family had meetings discussing alternative endings. Which I assume would have been spring, early summer of 2019. Did Forrest ever talk to you about the family having these private meetings and everyone discussing an alternative ending?
No, I don't remember him ever saying, but it doesn't, I mean, of course, Forrest oftentimes, it appeared that he made decisions without consulting other people. But I think oftentimes that was not the case. I mean, he did consult, particularly in items related to the chase, although apparently he didn't discuss with his family beforehand, before he started the chase, whether or not it was a good idea to hide this treasure, because I think, right from the very beginning, at least as far as I know, in 2012, his family was against this whole thing. And Forrest was very pro for it at that point. I mean, he was very happy with the way things were turning out. He was delighted with it, apparently. But his family had some foresight. Whether they knew humanity better than Forrest did, or whether they were
Oh, geez.
more logical.
That was probably just in that shot the whole time.
I don't know.
Oh, well.
It's okay.
Okay, so now you
It
have
covered me up.
so you have a water bottle over your face for all these important conversations. And I can't edit just the water bottle out.
Sure you can.
Not with the price it would take to do it.
At any rate, I think his family, I know from speaking with Shiloh at that time, that his family was definitely against the chase, that they did not like treasure hunt. They foresaw problems that Forrest did not see, or that Forrest would not recognize, or that Forrest felt couldn't come to fruition. And they were unhappy about it. And I believe they expressed that unhappiness to Forrest. I can remember one of the first times I went to visit Forrest, and Zoe and Kelly were there, and Peggy was there, and they were all saying goodbye to me, and they were saying, oh, I think it was Kelly or Zoe said to me, you know, you need to find that chest. And I said, well, I'm doing everything I can to figure out where it's at. And they said, no, you really need to find that chest. I mean, they were adamant about, they wanted this thing to be over. They were tired of it right from the very beginning, and that would have been in 2011. But Shiloh confessed to me in an interview that his family was not happy with this whole treasure hunt deal back in 2012. So right.
Keep going, or is that it?
Well, yeah, bring this down. If you want to listen to more, Cynthia gives some examples of how the family were not supportive of or not in favor, I think is how he puts it. They didn't like it. They weren't happy. I know some of the new people may not, that has all been conjecture up to this point. And I think it's, for anybody that was around, I think it's pretty obvious, but yeah, so it's not, well, what do you think, Mike? I just want to tread lightly.
About what? Jack being nudged?
No,
Oh.
the clip that we just showed, which was about the family meetings, alternative endings.
Of course the family wanted it over with. I mean, all the problems they had. Well, how could they not?
Some people don't believe that.
Cut out. Say again.
Some people don't believe that.
Well, some people are wrong. That's all. But we all have our opinions. I'm not saying nobody's entitled to their opinion, but anyway, I'm not going to go into it. If people don't know, they don't know. I'm not going to go into the history, but of course the family wanted it over with.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now let's jump to part one. We're in our last two, Mike.
Jump to part one. Okay.
And Nomadic Madman, I know she said Nomadic Man. She meant Nomadic Madman. I know interviewing is tough. So you were called out, giving credit for some good detective work looking at that remembrance article. So if you'll
Okay, part one.
Go to 1225. I think that's it. Yeah.
Second poem thing, you know, I was really shocked when Jack said to me, you know, I asked him what the second poem was, or not what the second poem. I asked him what the poem was that was in the chest, and I think I had to ask him that question twice, because the first time he didn't answer, and he probably didn't answer because he probably went back and looked in the chest for a poem or whatever, or maybe he just thought I was crazy. But eventually he told me there was no poem in the chest. He said, unless it's in the olive jar, which I have not opened.
Right. And that's still a very distinct possibility, is that there is a second poem and that it is in the olive jar. But let's suppose that there is a second poem and it's under the lining, which is possible. David Old, Shiloh's dad, made the wood lining, right? Some people think that's new information never shared. And it's like someone then said, no, it was talked about in Chate's chat, 10 years ago. So it's not really new information. It's just forgotten information. But okay, so
well, I can remember.
Is that it?
No, they were going to talk about the
Something else
lining.
was said about that wood lining
Okay.
that turned out apparently not to be true. Forrest, when folks were considering the line in the poem that reads, when folks were considering the line in the poem that reads in the wood, they were considering the fact that lining was was wood, and that he was referring to the fact that it was in the chest. And Forrest said, well, he said, you know, first of all, you know, folks had asked him over and over and over again, what kind of wood that chest was lined with. And I don't think Forrest knew. I can't remember what his answer was to that, but he, you know, it was a factoid that he probably forgot to ask or didn't care about or didn't remember. But I can remember him saying, listen, he said, the longer that chest sits out there, the more moisture that wood will absorb. The lid is closed, but moisture is going to get inside. And he said that wood is going to be shrunk, warped, soaked with water. He said there's no telling what condition that wood would be in. Now, given all that he knew that moisture was going to affect that wood, why would he put an unprotected piece of paper that had a poem that was crucial to identifying the real finder underneath that wood? It doesn't seem logical to me, but on the other hand, it doesn't mean that he didn't, you know, coat it in plastic or put it in a plastic baggie or in some way protect it. But
Okay,
just off the top of my head, it seems unlikely that he would have put that poem.
Mike?
There's another theory that maybe it's in
Okay, and then they continue talking about that, but it is a good point. The point is, if something was under that wood, and that wood probably is the least durable of anything in that chest, would you put something that was, yeah, if it was engraved on the bottom, and that's what she went into, maybe that's it. I don't know, interesting, but Justin has not surfaced since he started going under it, provided us pictures of it starting to move, and then he said, no, I need to stop, I need mystery in my life, but if I change my mind, I will let everyone know. So just more conjecture, but it is a good point, right? Mike, do you think it's in the wood, or do you think it is engraved if there is something, or does it matter to you?
What's more likely, that it's hidden in the chest somehow, or Forrest just forgot to put it in there and misremembered like he did the emerald ring and the frog?
Okay, Mr.
But he
Chris.
make up their own opinion there. But I mean, it's not impossible that he told Dale, yeah, the second poem, and then there is no second poem because Forrest did either put it in or took it out or whatever. So the question is, did anybody ever find a poem in his vault, or like, was the poem found like they found the frog? You know, maybe the family can answer that. Maybe Shiloh can answer that. Did you ever find a poem? You know, but anyway.
Random poem, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. The answer is, if somebody has the poem, come forward. Other than that, we'll never know.
Yeah, David Bazzana says, I don't remember Chase chat discussion of In the Wood. I didn't either. I was only on it 2016 on. But DJJ, if you know DJJ, posted on Thor, like this was already a discussion way back. You guys, you know, he has his way of delivering that message, but he's the one that said, no, it's been out there for a long time. Okay, so let's go to the 20-minute, 30-second mark. This is the last one, and then I'm going to have a text in relation to this as well, because this stirred up some discussion on Discord, which I thought was interesting. And so let's
2020?
2030. I think.
Hey, how about we turn the volume on?
the whole cease and desist order that you got from the Fenn estate lawyer. And I think it would be cool if you would tell your side of the story regarding that whole situation, if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Well, my theory has always been that I would like to, I mean, that's what the blog was all about. It was about sharing. The idea was that as group think, when I started the blog, with a group think, we might come up with a solution to the poem. And the other idea was, well, it would be fun to share experiences that we all had. We had fun while we were out looking, and people wrote their stories and they had fun too. It wasn't just me and you. A lot of folks had fun out there looking, and I thought it would be encouraging the chase, which is what Forrest wanted, encouraging people to join the chase if people were out there and were having fun. And so that's what the blog was. Those were the two reasons that the blog was started. And I continued in that. I mean, I tried to share, even after I took down the blog, I tried to make sure people still had access to the scrapbooks and all of Forrest's other writings that were on the blog. You know, I completely forgot about that PDF, that book, the binder. That material was in a different place. I kept it with the still images for some, well, because there was a series of still
There were
images.
images, right?
And so it wasn't with the videos and it wasn't with the audios that I was keeping that I had done with Forrest. And it wasn't with the other things that I had digitally stored away on my server for Forrest, or from Forrest. So I had completely forgot about it. And then one day I was going through pictures. I was just going through images that we had taken at various times while in Santa Fe. And I ran across those and I said, "Oh shit, I forgot about these things." You know, I'll bet, you know, that the searchers would like to see this. And that's all it was just an attempt to share that material. I didn't realize, I mean, Forrest gave me why else would I have those images of that binder if Forrest didn't? In fact, he gave it to me overnight. I took it back to the Airbnb where Kathy and I were staying, and I photographed it that evening and brought it back the next day. Forrest said, "Yeah, go ahead and take it." And Forrest gave me permission to use and to share what was on there. You know, I don't remember that there was any stipulation involved in that. Forrest was comfortable at that point with me sharing what was on there. And I had simply forgotten about it. And when I saw it, I wanted to share it. I thought folks would really enjoy seeing that. It never occurred to me that it was anything other than something Forrest gave me that I could share. It went up, I think, on a Monday, and I think on a Thursday night, I received the cease and desist order from Carl, the Fenn's attorney. I also got a text message from Shiloh, at least I think it was Shiloh's phone anyway. And it said, "Shame on you." It said, as my mother would say, "Shame on you." And when I first got that text message, I didn't recognize Shiloh's number, so I didn't know who it was. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And then I got the note from Carl and I realized who the note was probably from, the text was probably from, and what he was talking about. I assumed, as soon as I got that from Carl, that note, the cease and desist note, that it meant that Shiloh wanted to publish that thing and charge money and make some dough at it. And that was his intent, not to not have it shared, but to make sure he got a good cut of people paying good money to get at that particular binder's worth of content. So I expect at some point the Fenn family, or Shiloh at any rate, will release that in a book form that'll probably cost an arm and a leg, and everyone will have to pay to get at it. And I think that's too bad, particularly since Forrest gave me permission.
You can turn it off now.
To release it to the.
So some of the discussion that
There
started
it is.
there, well, there it is. And we knew about, Cynthia and I, because Cynthia and I and Carl were having dinner when Shiloh came just after the McCracken trial. And that's when Shiloh told us about his book and the contents and the sections that would be in and all that. But some discussion started on Discord that this is all hearsay information. Like Ben was one that said, "I have never heard that Shiloh's writing a book. Shiloh's not told me." And like, I'm going to give that is a really valid point, because we know how much current Chase information goes through Ben, Candy, and Cynthia. So I remember do you remember the picture of Willie and the 3 books? I said, well, that was when Lou Bruno just left his house and they were doing the final book design for the cover and things. And he said, that wasn't for me. And I thought that was on this group text, because that's how you handle releasing a book information, is you have a group text and everybody puts out different information. You don't get a website or PR. So anyway, then I was like, was it Candy? Like, we had to have heard officially somewhere that Shiloh actually is making a book. And Cynthia, if you can bring up Cynthia's text, there is part Shiloh has asked not to have shared, and
Oh, this is from Cynthia.
yeah, so this is
Oh,
between Cynthia and Shiloh.
Got
I'm
it.
not sharing anything except for the part that pertains
Right.
to the book.
So
He
this is the
talked about
text,
timeline.
Cynthia Shiloh. There's Willie. Looks like a stuffed animal, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And there's the
This
three
is the
books.
famous Binder, Bip, and John Kleinmeyer book.
Oops.
And here is in writing, and you can see the date on the top. November 13th is when Lou Bruno had just left.
Oh, November 13th of last year.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But she didn't share the additional information because we
Gotcha.
all just assumed everybody knew there was a book. But now we have Dale saying a book. Yes, it's his opinion, but here are the words actually from Shiloh. And maybe there's a way you can work around that he isn't writing a book, but why don't you read it, Mike?
Well, Cynthia says, sweet, Willie, nice photo. And Shiloh says, we were working on the book. Lou and Fran just left. And Cynthia says, you really are making a book. Awesome. I will pay for it, but we'll also ask for a signed copy if possible. And Shiloh says, of course, I told you I was, haha, which is no shocker. I think we all realized he was probably going to put out a book. I mean, that's not breaking news, but at least
It's not breaking news, but it helps.
if you believe this is a text message between Shiloh and Cynthia, there's no proof here, but if you believe it, then Shiloh says he's working on a book.
So Shiloh says in a text that's now been provided, I have the discussion, Cynthia had the discussion. Dale Dale had information that related to him of the book coming out. So I'm not going to try to convince what I think is Captain Obvious, but that's okay.
So in my opinion, a lot of people are saying, oh, greedy Shiloh, and he's such a bad guy. I don't have a problem that Shiloh and or the family want to put 2.0 in a book. I think it's their right to do that. In my opinion, I don't think they should have sent a cease and desist to Dale. I think they simply should have either texted him or called and said, hey, we were working on a book. Can you take that down? I think they could have went about it in a different way. Now, if Dale would have said, no, F you, well, then you do a cease and desist. But I think they could have at least said, hey, we're working on a book and that's going to be part of it. Can you take it down? That's all. I don't think Shiloh's wrong for putting it in a book. That's fine. He can do that.
I think rather than shame on you, it should have been, hey, can we chat?
Right.
None of this would have
Could have been a different way to go about
it.
it.
I know they have history and they're not best friends.
David Crump says Dale should have asked before sharing. Well, that's actually a good point too. Now I know Forrest, so it sounds like Forrest didn't care if it was shared. The family has a different opinion, and that's
right. I think Forrest's wishes are now gone, and they may or may not align with Forrest's wishes. So I think Dale's perspective was I was going with what Forrest said, and now the family's doing something different than what Forrest said. And I think he just thought that part I didn't care as much about. There's a book, and the book is related to 2.0 in Dale's opinion. And I agree with some of the things that are out and about and discussed and all of that. But since there was conspiracy and there were people saying we've never seen Shiloh's actual words that he's writing a book, there we have it. That's not breaking news because it was pretty obvious to me. So, but it's helping some catch up. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just wait and see what the book is that Shiloh's going to put out. I mean, if it has something related to the chase, if there's something related a chapter, then maybe I'll buy it. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it just depends what the book is and what it's about and all that.
Well, he said it was. Well, I've said it a few times, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it'll be interesting
and
whatever comes out.
Everybody can say whatever. What I'm saying is when the book actually comes out and we actually see what's in it, then I'll, decide if I want to buy it.
Treasure Warriors is saying that Dale chose not to contact Shiloh. No offense, Shiloh doesn't matter in the legal sense. Zoe is the representative. Like when we asked Shiloh, and Shiloh then responded through Carl, because Carl and Zoe, now Zoe may give a lot of it because now we have even more confirmation that I don't think Zoe's going to be doing a lot of interaction with the community. She may defer to Shiloh, but it's on Zoe, and Carl is the representative of Zoe, not of Shiloh at this point.
So the family binder, though, that allegedly has the final location, nothing in 2.0 said treasure chest. Nothing said this.
It just said
this
is where I want to go when I die. My spirit will be here. I will meet.
Right. So I guess you could put it together and see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't think Dale thought he needed to. I mean, that's the discrepancy. That's the difference in opinion.
Right. But I think this was, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, there was a general miscommunication. Dale should have contacted the family. The family shouldn't have
Right.
done cease and desist. I think the moral of the story is if there would have been just a quick and simple conversation, I believe Dale would have taken it down without the threats that were in the cease and desist.
Well, there you go. Well, Miriam says, why would Forrest give it to Dale overnight if he didn't want it shared?
Right.
Well, I think he gave Dale a lot of stuff. Look at all the stuff that's on the drive that has never been shared. And he just said, here, Dale, someday he'll do something with it. I don't think it was a here, put this in a scrapbook tomorrow. I mean, all we have is what Dale says to go by. And, you know,
Well, and I can tell you, I don't know if he has written, but he definitely on the terabyte drive that I have, there is a permission given in Dale's words. He asked for permission for everything that he is capturing,
accumulated. Yeah.
accumulated, and Forrest gave his, I mean, it was kind of a formal, there's a formal audio of them. Maybe that wasn't enough. I don't know. I don't know what happened there enough, but to say that Dale didn't have permission, I just think that's silly sauce. So, okay,
All right. What else? Is that it for the videos?
that is.
All right. So Shiloh's putting out a book. Okay. I think we all kind of knew that or
Yeah.
thought of it. Okay. So that's fine. We'll hope that comes out in what is it, 6 to 9 months or whatever he said. So now is that the epicness and fun? I'm assuming it is. If that's what it is, if the book's coming out, I'm assuming that's what Shiloh's been referring to. So
Right.
we'll see if there's any answers or anything interesting in the book, you know.
Because we did have a searcher on Discord say, I'm scheduling with Netflix right now. I personally think the book is the epic and fun that's coming. And
Oh, yeah.
now, wouldn't it be funny if the book that Shiloh's writing is 2.0, there's something behind the wood, and what else has come out through searchers in the last few months? Sorry.
Oh, no.
I think that would be funny. F gave it to Dale after F knew it was found. That's where I tend to have my opinion stuck in Chaselandia. October 2019. Yeah, it was already found by Jack in September. So I think he was, yeah.
Well, Treasure Warriors, I think Forrest was a handshake kind of guy. I don't think he's big into writing up contracts and writing up permission and stuff. That's just my
Wait, no,
opinion.
but let me be clear. He captured it. He recorded it. He's not saying that he got verbal permission. He recorded it on one of the files and
But
said,
not, yeah, I got you.
yeah,
It just said everything you have, you can use or et cetera, right? Forrest saying the
I don't
day.
remember the wording. He went over.
Right.
like-
It wasn't specifically about 2.0 though.
No,
It was
no.
about everything that Dale had. And Dale had so much stuff. I mean, I think that's what maybe people don't realize is how do you pick and choose?
And I don't think he thought going back, like I would have never thought about the lining. Going back, I don't think he ever thought he'd be receiving a cease and desist from, and this going, you know, Netflix and books and that. I couldn't see Dale putting that as a possibility in his head. So
When-
I don't think he ever thought this would go. I mean, alternative endings, all that stuff. Yeah.
You remember when this was supposed to happen that Dale took it and made a picture?
October 17th.
October of 2017. So way back.
No,
Say it again.
October 17th, 2019 is when he
Oh.
got the, tell the kids.
Oh, well, that's interesting. If you think that Jack actually found it in September of 2019, then Forrest says, hey, Dale, copy this here. That's kind of interesting. I mean, you know, it's all speculation, but all right.
Somebody else is gonna have to get the door.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any thoughts on Dale's ball of string comments being the 150 foot? He abruptly halted. I don't know. I think that there wasn't a lot that was happening. Okay, hold on. Do I
No,
need to go get the door?
No, you don't.
They're
You
sitting
don't.
right in front of me. I need to.
You don't need to get the door.
Okay. I think there was pros and cons of not giving Dale the questions beforehand. They wanted to kind of keep it spontaneous and kind of honest reactions. I think if Dale would have had time to talk about it or think about a few more and like really jog his memory, because I think this is more in his distant memory than ours that are living it week to week. He gave it to Dale hoping to share it so Jack wouldn't get it. Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I say if it was right after supposedly Jack found it, and if Jack contacted Forrest, say, hey, look, I found it, but I'm not going to retrieve it until you give me some answers. Now Forrest is like, Dale, you know, take this, copy it, put it out, let somebody else find it. That's kind of interesting, in my opinion. But yeah. So I mean, it's all speculation, guys. We can go back and forth forever, which I'm kind of getting tired of doing until we get some real facts. If somebody has the poem, show it. If somebody opened the olive jar, show it publicly, you know, all this stuff. So what are we waiting on? We're waiting on Netflix. We're waiting on Shiloh's book. It is cool that Cynthia's taken the time to make the trip and talk to Dale, because Dale definitely was an insider, in my opinion. Dale has inside info from Forrest. There's a terabyte full of information from Forrest, whether it's chase related or not. And when Cynthia says, I do not monetize on my YouTube, you should, Cynthia. You spent all the travel and expense and everything else that you've done over the last 10 years. You should, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, especially when it doesn't cost anyone anything. It's like, I don't know. I understand it's a very important point to some people. It's just not an important point as we are starting now to discuss WSOF and how much money, how many thousands of dollars are we going to put into it this year? You know, I do think it's okay. So for people to offset some of the costs. So anyway, okay. That was the last one I had. We showed Cynthia's text. We do have a tentative date. It looks like we're going to be in April. We still are working logistics. We'll talk about this more, but April 27th weekend is the weekend that we are looking to do WSOF.
2024. That's right.
That's in 6 to 9 months. I see what I did.
Ah,
Yeah, so there you have it. And I don't think everybody's going to get on the same page all the time. Yeah. But
There it
that's
is.
okay, as long as we just discuss and keep it not personal. And yeah,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can all have our own opinions. It's fine. And I don't think there's anything to get upset about, really. I don't understand people that do get upset, to tell you the truth, because it's all opinion. You can't say you're right. I can't say I'm right. K-Pro can't say it's right, but we can all give our opinion. So
hey, Loopy,
there it is.
he's in Germany. Great show.
Loopy. What?
Loopy,
Oh, hey, Loopy. How you doing?
flying around the world. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think we're ever going to know. That's the problem I kind of have with all this at this point. We're never
Right.
going to know unless that second poem comes out, the Olive Jar, Netflix, Shiloh's book.
Well,
And
the
we don't
video
even know
would
if
be
there's
nice.
answers in any of those four
I know that Shiloh now has at least admitted there is a video, and yes, they are shopping it for a cost and the right project, 2 parts to it.
Yeah.
One part worked out, it was a good project, but the other half,
What's up?
the dog's out.
Oh, hang on. Well, they can get it. Well, thanks, Sherry. We appreciate that. It's still fun to do the shows. It's still fun, to talk about it. But I just, we've been talking it to death recently. But there has been little tidbits that have come out. I get it. Cynthia goes and does an interview with Dale. That's kind of big because Dale has his opinion of how things went down. That's all that interview is his opinion. But he definitely did
and-
more than most, in my opinion, from Forrest. Yeah.
And I've never heard Ben say this. We will know when Shiloh's interview or timeline comes. He promised fun and answers. My opinion is he may just not know all of them, but we're definitely, we're not waiting in silence. We're waiting and getting a lot of things are happening, which is, we wouldn't have known about Under the Chest. Shiloh was not willing to provide pictures. Now we have pictures of the inside due to Justin. So I think a lot of stuff is coming from searches, and I think it will. I think some people will put a lot of weight in what Shiloh says. Shiloh did share last week, Jack is the finder, and he shared about a couple months ago with a searcher, there's no second hunt, don't go out, safety reasons, do not go out, done. So Jack is the finder in his mind, and that's what I think we're gonna get, is Jack is the finder, retriever, and owner of the treasure chest at one time. So I can't wait to hear from him. I think it'll be fabulous. I hope it's on the timeline on the first month rather than the last month. But I personally, if I were to put my money on bets, it would be his book. And his book will include at least partially 2.0. It'll talk about David making the wood, and it'll talk about some of the pieces in the treasure chest. I don't think he's going to say Jack is not the finder. I do not think he is going to say there's a second hunt or an extension of the hunt or anything like that. I might be totally wrong though, so I don't know.
Doug Heidig says,
go ahead.
what's that?
From what Shiloh just told us, like in the last week, Jack's the finder. So anybody waiting for Shiloh to say Jack's not the finder?
Right. That's obviously a contradiction. Right. Doug says, doesn't the Fenn family have enough dollars? Well, you don't know that, Doug. You don't know that. You can guess all day, but you don't know what they have and they don't have. And guess what? It's none of our business what they have. Enough money is a very subjective thing, right? So it's none of our business anyway. Zozo says, go blue. That's right. 1-0. So glad I didn't take the over because it was 2 points.
Oh, we have to do football picks.
Yeah, football this week. Detroit Lions on Thursday, first game of the season. So, all right. Yeah, in my opinion, we all have our opinions, don't we?
I'll buy the book. I'll buy the book just to make sure I have kind of the bookends of I'll do. I know a lot of people said, we'll just wait for your book review because that's what we'll do, just like Dan Barbarisi's book. I think it was worth the read. I enjoyed it, just being a part of the chase. So I'll buy his book. I probably won't go to an event or travel that far and incur that much cost. But I think, maybe we'll have some available at WSOF. Maybe he'll donate one to WSOF next year. I don't know. You never know.
All I know is 5 years ago today, I started this crazy adventure with K-Pro, which was a drawing back then. But there it is, guys. Boom. 5 years ago today.
Okay. Now, do you guys want to know a little bit of history here? Look what's behind my right elbow. This is when
I didn't even catch that.
This is when I tried to pitch. Do we have to do Chaseopoly? Like Monopoly game? Can we please do Clue?
Yeah, that was my idea. I thought Clue was a much better idea for a thrill board game.
Like with the shovel in Yellowstone Park versus
right.
Park. Yeah.
Which searcher with what item or tool in what location found it. You could have all the metal detector, all this stuff.
But Forrest really he didn't know what Clue was, so I brought it for him and showed him.
Yeah,
really trying to pitch. But do you remember that, Mike? That's why people are like, why is Clue there? That was why.
And Forrest was like, you're only doing it if it's Monopoly. So
exactly.
He shut that down.
Was dead set on Monopoly.
But there it was. That was 5 years ago today. So,
5 years ago.
Man.
5 years ago, honey.
And here we are 5 years later.
Yeah.
So with all of you in the chat, 5 years later, here we are still talking about it. And that's okay. A lot of time's gone by. The thrill of the chase did end, but the real thrill of the chase are the friends and that we made along the way, in my opinion.
Doug Heideck says, K-Pro, has the Fenn home sold yet? No, I think it's it just did get decreased. It was on the market, I think, for a little over 5 million, and it went down to 4.9 million. But the Zestimate only has it at about 2.5 million. So I don't know. It has not sold though.
Thanks, Doug. Yeah, it would be cool if a searcher bought it, but who has that kind of money? And who wants to move to Santa Fe?
Well, there's already some searchers that did some naughty things. They pretended they were buying it and they have film of going around.
Oh, they went and toured the home? Well, when you sell
or
a
at
home.
least that's what the rumor mill is saying. I was asked if I wanted to see it. I said, no, I do not want to see it.
That's kind of funny, I guess. Well, I would be interested. What's in the den? Is the den empty? Is that couch still in the den? Is that hide still on the wall? Is all that gone? Is the house empty? They still live there, right? Well,
Shiloh lives there. Shiloh moved into the main
by
house.
himself. Oh, okay. Well, interesting.
From what I understand, I shouldn't say I know for sure, but
yeah, it's
like a year ago, that's he had moved in there and
right. Okay, so I think that wraps it up. We've done another hour yet again on the K-Pro Cow Powwow.
And you're taking me on a date now, honey.
Yeah, it's our 5-year anniversary. We got to go out. So yeah, there it is. World Series of Fenn, April, what is it? I can't.
April 27th is the date. We think we still need to check with the poker room, and we're thinking of mixing some stuff up because there's some people that we might. It's definitely still going to have a poker game, but that will not be the main focus. But I need to get a couple things together before I can even go there.
Right, but mark your calendars for the last weekend in April. We think that's when it'll be.
April
so
27th.
You make it out. It'll be a little bit cool. It'll be a little bit warmer out. I don't know if the pool will be open, but a little bit warmer. Like when we went down to Fremont Street 2 years ago, it's cold down there, but April, it'll be nice. We do Fremont Street? We're kind of mix it up a little bit. So yeah, just mark your calendars. We hope to see everybody there. And as we always say, everybody's invited. Will the poker rooms be dried out by then? Yeah. We had 2 days of flash floods, man. It was bad out here.
So they actually shut down the freeway and made people turn around on the freeway. It was
because it was flooded out.
It was bad.
I drove back with the boys during it. So yeah, it was interesting. I actually got a flat tire. I was trying to go pick up the boys. I go through a big flooded area, boom, flat tire. I had to get out, change the tire. I still have the donut on the car. I got to go tomorrow because they were closed for Labor Day. I got to go turn it in tomorrow to have them put the tire back on, patch it, hopefully. So yeah, it's been an interesting weekend for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Was that all the news, K-Pro?
That's all the news for tonight. I think we're gonna have some more cool stuff coming. If Justin talks, oh, Jens did give an update to Copper Dan, who gave an update and passed a note around, and Jesus, why do we communicate like this? But so Jens passed a note to Copper Dan and Study Hall, and he reported on Discord that we now have a new date, June.
For Jens's documentary?
Yeah, so he's pushed
Oh.
now from February to June. I asked what year. He's still
Ah,
planning on this next year. So we may have by June 2024. I want to be nice, so I'll just say, yay, try. I mean, go
And
then.
and I think I'm going to make a video on Thursday, but it's not Treasure Hunt Amusement Park and it's not the chase. It's about something else, something personal, but we'll see if I decide to do it or not. You know,
I don't know.
so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us for all these years. And we'll see. We'll be here when there's breaking news. We'll go live.
Oh,
April will have it.
We'll just you wait. Just you wait. Some of us got a little something in store. We need, yeah, just you wait. We're trying, but you know, when you don't have the info and you know, but at least we know the priorities of some and what may get some stuff done. So anyway.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See ya maybe next Monday, maybe not. It depends what happens between. It depends who Cynthia interviews between now and then. So we'll see everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk to you Thursday.